My name is Lise Dunsbergen. I am a teacher in a secondary school in the Netherlands. I am part of the I Build It project. I would like to welcome to the virtual stage our speaker for today, which is Kari Hirvonen. He is a primary school teacher in Lappeenranta, Finland. He is also part of the I Build It project. He has been teaching in Lappeenranta since 2016. And before that, he spent 20 years teaching in Tampere, also in Finland. He has been working on making individual learning strategies more known and available in Finland. He's enthusiastic about Montessori education, and he also worked in a Montessori school for some time. Besides that, he has a real love for languages. He studied English, of course, but he also studied Swedish, German, and Italian as well. And he also spent 2 years in New Zealand, where he worked as a teacher as well. So this is a very experienced person. The core of his presentation today will be learning. He will talk about his ideas about learning and teaching, and he will address some of the things that science is saying about the subject. And he will also talk about how teachers work at Pontus school, which is a school where he works currently. I think we're about to start. I would like to remind you of the rules of this webinar. If you have a question during the presentation, you can use the chat function. So I can see that some people are already using the chat function. If it's possible, some of us will try to answer your questions. But if we're not able to answer your questions, there's a Q&A session after the presentation, and Kari will be addressing some of your questions. I would like to remind you once again that this webinar is being recorded, so please mute yourselves, and you may choose to turn off your camera as well. That's it from me. Over to you, Kari.
Thank you. I'm going to start with something way back to 1980s when I started training to be a teacher. And we had a strong emphasis about going back to the ways of teaching, like what they used to do. In the US, they were doing the back to basics thing, and in Finland, didactics was a big thing. And of course, in Finland, the school books are always been the thing. I started to think that maybe there's something more to it. And the picture of the baby is from a book that I bought at that time. It's called A Child's Odyssey. And this is from the preface of the book. And it kind of talked to me that there is the center of education and teaching should be there. It should be the child instead of trying to look at the books and what's in them. I don't say that the books are unnecessary, but I think that they actually, the children, the students are more important. And for me, I think that my path started then. And I wanted to learn how the kids think, what they do, and what can I do to help them to meet their full potential in education. And it's been a fun ride, and lots has been happening. And first, I'm gonna tell some ideas of my own, and then some ideas of some scholars and educators as well. The first thing that I think the teacher should do is that the teacher should believe. The teacher should believe in what he or she is doing. I think that if there would be a book about education, we all would have read it. The book, I mean, where all the answers would be. There is no such book, I'm sorry to tell you. And I think that many of the styles to teach, they have pros and they have cons. So it doesn't really matter what you choose, but please believe in the one that you choose. And I think particularly in Finland, the teacher education is quite strong. All the teachers are educated at universities, and they have master's degrees. And I think that it helps people to believe in what they are doing. They have a sturdy background to do whatever that is that they are doing. And I also think that if you ask about can teachers be educated, The problem is that if you don't have the spark, then it's hard. If you don't believe in what you're doing, that there is no spark in there, I don't think that you make the best teacher. Many teachers have the spark when they are born. Some people are born teachers. Some people at some point are ignited by their training or by somebody they learn while studying to be teachers or while being a teacher. But you need to have the spark to believe. And one thing is that, of course, experience is something where you gain things that you can believe. But also science is a way to make things clear and clear in your mind, and the way how you can believe in what you are doing. And I think that when you believe in what you are doing, you are confident, and it shows in the classroom. The children are quite good at spotting if you are, in that sense, lying, when you are not believing in what you are doing. And also it's a way to get a safe environment for learning. The students feel that it's safe to be there because the teacher is liking what he or she is doing and believing in what we are doing together. And it's also a thing where joy is involved. You are more happy if you believe in what you are doing, so that teaching is quite a life's work instead of going to a job and earning some money from teaching. The second word for me is trust. I think trust is important, and deep down teachers should trust all the students. I think trust is a basic right for the students. And I'm not really good at thinking that if then type of setting, when if you do this, then you can do that. I think that trust means that everybody can do everything in your class. And it's also seen where everything in the classroom and all things are available at every student. Sometimes there's problem in that, and I think that teachers should think about what they do if things don't work. So if there's a setback, what do I do then without losing the trust? There's also one teacher in Finland. He became with the idea of like trust ring, that when you do something and you are seen capable of doing it, then you can do something else. Like when you show that your manners are correct in the classroom, you can go and work in the corridor. But I don't see that as a good thing, but that's the other way of looking at the same thing. And the trust should be visible in the classroom. It should be like all the students are treated fairly. Fair treatment is, according to studies, where children or the pupils have been asked about what they like in the teachers, they say that I like the teacher because he's fair. And that's important. And also trust should be in your language. When you speak to your students, they should be able to spot that you trust them. And also in feedback, that you know what the the students are doing, and then in feedback you show that you trust them and they are doing what you want them to do. One of the big names in this is, I think, Professor Carol Dweck, and her work about mindset is I like really much. And she's describing two types of mindsets: a fixed mindset and growth mindset. Fixed mindset being that when you think that I can't change the way I learn, I can't change the person that I am. And growth mindset being I can learn anything I want to learn. And she did a study about telling the students that they are not yet there when they are making mistakes, instead of underlining the mistakes. And she found out that students are doing better if they are told that you are not yet. So kind of like meaning that it's possible for you to achieve what you want to achieve. If you want to learn more about this, you can go to the Train Ugly website, which is it's a really big website, and it's about this mindset type of learning. There's a video about the jungle tiger, which I quite think that is quite nice, and it describes what this means. And the big thing is that learning is dangerous. Learning is something that you do that you never done before. Learning is something where you don't know where you are going. Learning is something that when you get the skills to learn, you are more capable of learning more. And I think that's described very well in this video in the Train Ugly website. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about flipped learning. Flipped learning is a controversial idea in a sense that many people mix it with flipped classroom, which was before flipped learning. And in flipped classroom, what's done is that the students are given assignments outside the classroom, like they are studying something, and then after studying the thing, they come to the class, and then they start working on the subject that they have studied themselves. I have picked the definition of flipped learning from Flipped Learning Network, and it has 4 points. The first point being you need to have a flexible environment. That means that the students can choose when and where they want to learn. Of course, in schools, many schools, it's really hard if you have like school hours when the kids come to school. You can't just let them do things wherever they want to. But of course, it's not that the boundary between home and school is that strong anymore. So they can do some work at home, and then after doing it at home, bring their ideas to school where you can work with the stuff that they have learned at home. Then it's about learning culture, and it's all about learner-centered approach. Learner-centered approach. The learners is in the center. And what I'm thinking is that this is something that's the same thing that I talked to you about in the first picture of the baby, that it should be about the learner. And in class time is for deeper learning. And in this case, the teacher is not teaching the thing in the classroom, but instead they are working on the same subject or same matter in the classroom. So there's more space for asking questions, more space for peer group work and things like that. And of course, there's more time for the teacher to address every student. It requires students' active involvement. Of course, in some cases, it might be a problem. The students are not actively working, so this doesn't work either. But I think that when the students are led to do this, when they have the possibility to choose when and where they want to learn, it enhances the possibility that they are active and they want to work with the thing that they are working on. This I struggled a bit. This is called intentional content, and it should help to learn contextual understanding. And I'm thinking that the thing is quite hard for the primary kids, and it comes down to what you teach for the kids and what can they do on their own. Maybe in primary schools, you need to concentrate more on this contextual understanding in your classroom and not so much when they are choosing to work someplace else. And the fourth thing being a professional educator. And my favorite word in this is observation. Teachers should have time when they can observe their pupils. I find it really interesting that what I think they are doing and how they are, I see differently when I'm observing when somebody else is doing the teaching or somebody else is in charge of the classroom. And I strongly suggest that if you have the chance to observe your student, it will really pay off. Then flipped learning, there is relevant in-time feedback. It's not about testing, it's about learning when you make mistakes and correcting them once they appear. And I'm thinking that it's a good way of making learning flexible. The students don't have to wait for the test results, but they get the feedback when they are having trouble, and they can proceed to next level right after that. Of course, it requires assessment work, and assessment work is, there are multiple ways to do it, but I think that it's probably what they mean in this is that the educator and the student are working together to assess the work. It's not that it's something pre-designed like in a curriculum or so. And also the educators work in teams. And according to John Hattie, this is really good way of making the kids learn. So I get back to the teamwork later on in this presentation. I've been involved in individual learning thinking for many years now, and this is something I really cherish. I think it's really important that we educate individuals. 40 years back, it was teaching a group, and nowadays it really doesn't pay off anymore. All the students are individuals, and it comes down to the owning of learning. Who owns your learning? Is it yourself, or is it the teacher, or is it the curriculum, or is it the government, or who is the owner? And I think that it's really important to teach the students that you are the center of learning and you own your own learning. This doesn't mean that the students are left to their own devices, that you, okay, when you own your learning, do whatever you want to. It's not that. The key thing is the learner's own motivation. Motivation is important. It's important to support the motivation of learning. And in that sense, that if you own your own learning, I think it's already more motivating than if I'm the one who's owning the learning. The second point is autonomy, that you actually are doing it on your own in a sense that it's you who is responsible for doing whatever that is that you do. Sometimes teachers are really keen on intervening to children's work in a sense that they show that I'm responsible for what is happening in the classroom. I think that that's not the correct way of doing it. It's about your own capabilities. It's what you are capable of. Not the same thing suits all the students. When you think about individualizing things, you talk to the learner and you kind of make the path towards learning together. And of course, I think learning is more meaningful when you are responsible of your own learning. I think that the students they are telling you ideas about what they want to do, and they are telling you ideas about what they are interested in more than in a setting where you are the one that's going to be telling them what to do. Of course, there are challenges. One of these is the school's learning culture. What do you do in your school? How can you do it? Is it possible to let the students to decide? Sometimes it's not. Of course, there's organization problems. Maybe your school is not fit for this type of learning. Maybe there's no space for it. Maybe it's impossible to let the children do things on their own because they are when they're doing something on their own, they are troubling the peers in the same group. And then there's problems with time. Do they have enough time to do the things that they want to do? What I've learned is that when you let the children decide what they want to do and how they want to do it, it leads to time problems in the sense that some students say, oh, I'm ready already. And some students say that I don't have enough time. So in that sense, it needs managing. And of course, it's the school's timetables. If you have like a lesson for 45 minutes, like it's customary in Finland, and maybe you can't do it in 45 minutes and that's it. But the feedback should be tangible, visualized, and easy to understand. So that's the way for the learners, how they can, that supports their learning. And of course, there are these two words, self and peer evaluation, that can be used in the sense of individual learning. Individual learning doesn't mean you're learning alone. You can do it with somebody else, and the assessment can be done by your peers, your classmates. Then there's this is a hard word for me, but I included it. What I want to address with it is that it's not that everybody's doing the same thing in the classroom, that you have to accept that there are differences. And this goes, the teachers should accept that, and also the students. Like the student next to you might be somebody who's doing something or something else that you are doing. And also the student next to you might do the same thing that you are doing on a different level. Sometimes when children start comparing their results, they start boasting about I'm better than you, or telling that you are no good. And it requires a lot of work to achieve this. But I think it's a good element of good teaching that you teach children acceptance. And it's also that the children learn to accept that their work is good and their work is valid. Sometimes our students tell me that I'm no good, this work isn't good, and so on. But accepting that this is my best effort, that is good enough of work that you have done. And then also that the different parts might lead to the same end. The students might take different parts. Somebody might be doing the same thing differently, but the end result will be the same. Then I'm going to talk something about our curriculum. In Finland, curriculum is a really strong base for all teaching. The curriculum is about teaching, and it gives guidelines to teaching. And it's a really thick book that we all have to read every year. On the other hand, all the methods and materials are chosen by the teacher. So the teachers have a lot of freedom choosing what they want to do, how they want to do it, and what materials to use. And also the students' work, the basics of assessment are given to you in the curriculum. And because this is a teaching mean, the pupils don't know what the objectives are in a grand scale. So we wanted to change this in our school, and we came up with this idea of giving the children a Popsis booklet. And in this Popsis booklet, those guidelines are transferred to students' achievements. So the students might learn in their own language, well, what they need to do. It could be like one of these, in this picture is a page from English learning, and one of the objectives in the students' language would be like, I listen to different languages and see different styles to write. I observe how words transfer from other languages into Finnish language. And then in the middle, there's a box where they would put how they can achieve that. And on the right-hand side, there's a smaller box where they put how I'm gonna do the thing. What do I do to achieve it? And then there are stars. There are 3 stars in there. If you color 3 stars, it means that I can do this so well that I can teach others. 2 stars means I understand it and I can do it. And 1 star means that I still need practice. And after the school year, all the students should have an understanding of what they have done in that school year. And I think that this visibility is a really nice thing to have, that the students know more about their learning than without it. In our school, we use solution-oriented approach. And one of the things in this, I start with the strange sentence that if you don't have problems, you can go on working on your own. If the student doesn't have any problems, don't intervene. And many times the teachers will ask students questions about what they're doing, and they are intervening in the process of making. They are distracting the student. And if you think about solution orientation, there you solve individual problems instead of general trouble. It's the student's own problem that you solve. And of course, this requires that the students know how to ask questions, and it's really important. For teacher, this is hard because the teachers need to handle different types of questions and problems all at the same time. In my classroom, somebody might be doing math, somebody might be doing geography, and so on. So when they're asking their questions, I have to address them and know how to do it. And one of the key points for the students is also to learn how to wait, because the teacher might be occupied and might be that you get to talk to the teacher in 5 minutes. And what's needed also is that the students are able to follow rules and guidelines, and these we of course agree upon together. In my school, many teachers are trained to teamwork. We work as a team. In my team, there are 3 classroom teachers and 1 special ed teacher, and then 2 special ed teachers that visit our pod occasionally, and then 2 teacher aides. So it's a team, and we have weekly meetings, many of them. Also, our students work as teams. They have a mixed age group team where they do things like they learn communication and emotional aspects, so anger management and how to deal with frustration and motivational problems and so on. So we assign work related to these subjects, to these mixed age groups. And because teamwork is a big thing for us, the teachers are trained, and we have there's a Finnish way of learning teamwork, and we have many team masters in our school working the teachers and not the pupils. Also, the kids form their own teams whenever they feel like it. Whenever they feel like they want to do something together with somebody else, they form a team. And many times it's a pair, so it's not a big team, but also they use teams to do this. This is something to manage students who are working someplace where they want to. When the students leave their home pod, they need to ask for a green card. There's my name on that one, and I give that to a student who wants to go and work someplace else in our school building. What we do is that the student asks for the card, and I ask the student what he or she wants to do. And I mark my initials and the date in the beginning of the notebook or the book that he or she wants to read, and then off you go. And when the student returns, they have to present what they have done. And because I marked my initials in there, I can see if there's anything written on the page or not. And if you don't present any work done while working outside the pod, then next time you can't get the card. And of course, I keep count to the students who go and work outside our pod because of safety reasons. And my students really like this. They want to make a team and go and work someplace else. What they need and what's agreed upon is that you have to have a desk and a chair, that you can't do this lying on the floor because of the safety reasons as well, because if all the corridors would be crowded of students working lying flat on the floor, then nobody would be able to walk around the school. What becomes of this is an active learner. And here are two words that I want to talk about. The first thing is Maria Montessori's normalization. It means that if you succeed, if learning is what it should be, the normal child would be interested in learning. The normal child in the school environment would be doing his work. And I took a video 5 years back of a girl student in our school who was kind of, I think, was normalized. There were people all around her doing all kinds of stuff, and she didn't pay any attention to everybody else doing whatever that they were doing, but carried on with her work. And I think that when this works, and I think that you should thrive towards this, is that then the students, when something happens, when somebody's making trouble, they're gonna say the troublemaker that this is something that we don't do. And they are the owners of their own learning, and they think that it's normal to work in a school building and have good manners. And then it's Ken Robinson and curiosity. I'm hoping that I don't kill the curiosity in my students. I hope that I'm asking them questions and I'm presenting them troubles where they can be curious. I'm hoping that I'm supporting them in their learning path, that they find answers to the questions that they want to ask. It's not easy, and I struggle with it, and it doesn't work all the time. But I'm moving towards it. I'm thinking that it's a good thing to keep in mind that many things and innovations that we make are made because somebody got curious about how these things are the way they are. This is our positive behavior intervention and support matrix. And this is something that we, all of our school is doing. So we have each of these headlines we concentrate on we have 2 months time to concentrate on it. So now we are doing I wait, and next month we are starting to do I listen, and so on and so on. And the children who are doing these things, well, correct is not probably the best word, but correctly get a diamond, and they are collecting diamonds, and once they have collected enough diamonds, we give them a party, in a sense that they can choose what that is that they want to do, something special during the school day. And once all the pods, there are 4 of those, have done this, then we have a school party as well. But these are the basic things that are good to work on these mixed age groups. And we are doing that on every Monday, and on every Friday, we are checking how many diamonds we have collected during the week. And this is our school, and this is what we do. So sometimes it's like teacher-led training. And this is where the whole class is working together with the teacher. It can be maths, it can be English, it can be anything you like. But there are things that are best done together. For example, listening comprehensions is quite hard to do on your own. It's easiest to manage when you do it together, when all the students are together. Then in the group, you have the peer support. This is a group of girls who have decided to work together. They are working on the same thing at the same time. All the students in our school have iPads or Chromebooks, so internet access is available all the time. Then we have this pod center, where we have our meetings, and in each pod we are around 80 students and 10 staff members. So sometimes it's quite crowded, but like in here, the students can also work there, and it's used in versatile manner. And if you have a possibility to choose where you work, you have nice hideaway places where you can go, and you can have these Montessori mats as well to work on them. And of course, many students like to work lying on the floor, but this is in the pod, not in the school building elsewhere. Sorry. And I'm going to end my presentation in a short video, which probably describes all this much better than I could do, but please enjoy. It's a video from our school.
At Pontus School, the learning environment has been arranged in a new kind of way, in the spirit of the curriculum that took effect in 2016. The goal of teaching is that in addition to learning basic skills, the transversal skills of the students are also strengthened. Transversal skills are important, which is why they are emphasized. The students learn, to take care of themselves, to use information technology, to read critically, to look after the environment and their loved ones, and to be an active member of the school community. At Pontus School, students have an active role in their learning, and the learning environment has been arranged accordingly. For example, all learning materials have been placed on shelves where they are accessible to the students, and the adults of the school teach the students how to utilize them in learning. Learning materials include, for example, various illustrative learning tools and edu-games. The timetable includes classes and weekly schedule planning, the amount of which varies depending on the grade. The individual weekly schedules of the students that are either in an electronic or paper format support the planning and progress of learning, as well as the assessment of one's own working. Within the weekly planning, each student can pick their preferred working method from the given alternatives and determine the order in which they will do their work. Students can move about and have breaks in between studying, as well as shift from working alone to group work. Adults will set safe boundaries to the learning situation and guide the working based on each student's abilities and skills. There are 4 closed pods at the school, each pod with approximately 80 students. The pods include a mixture of lower and higher grade students, but each study group consists of students in the same grade. This model of mixing children of various ages facilitates peer learning. There is a teacher assigned to each study group. The adults of the pod form a team of class teachers, special needs teachers, and teaching assistants who work closely together and are responsible for planning the activities of the pod and for teaching and instructing the students. The pod includes 4 learning spaces, similar in size to traditional classrooms and equipped for various purposes, and a central square at the middle of the pod. Each learning space opens up to this central square from one corner. One classroom can be closed up entirely, in addition to which the pod includes 2 spaces for small groups that can be closed. One of these also serves as the working space for the adults of the pod. In addition to the home pods, the school includes several separate classrooms that can be closed, e.g. for special needs study groups, and special classrooms for art and physical education. In practice, all students of the pod are simultaneously present in the home pod for only a few hours each week, since some students are nearly always in art or physical education classes. A variety of different spaces and working methods are designed to meet the needs of individual students, promote student interaction, and create a sense of community. The feeling of inclusion and the ability to make their own choices help students to stay motivated and engaged with their work.